next speaker.
Okay, before you introduce, bye guys. I gotta run.
Bye.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
This is my mom, Marcia. She is the creator of semi-motivation. It's a kind of divine. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, son. Thanks for that.
Got notes?
Yeah, I got notes because I have ADHD. I gotta stay focused. And sometimes I get unfocused because I start thinking about stuff. Okay, so we're gonna talk about how to come back from arguments. Because sometimes it is hard to come back from an argument that you have with someone, especially a family member, a friend, a sibling. People sometimes go years and never speaking to their family members, friends, or siblings again, which is hard because you wonder often. I grew up with this person, like how they doing, how the kids doing, if you got nieces and nephews, and you know you want to know those things. And even though some people say like I hate my family, I don't want to be close to, we all want that family, even if it's just a friend or you know just somebody close. We want that family. But the first thing to know is that arguments are normal, disagreements are normal, because people are individuals. And I think sometimes that's where we get messed up at, is we don't understand that people are individuals and we don't have to be robotic. Everybody is not on the same program, everybody does not have the same mindset, everybody does not have the same upbringing or outlook on life. And when you think about it, people only understand at the level of their perspective. And we don't know what that perspective is when we first meet them. We don't know what that perspective is when we live in the house with our siblings. They grow up, they leave the house, they see new things. They do new things. They have different experiences. So we lose touch. And that's okay. If someone you care about, you have a disagreement with them, it's always good to understand what the problem is. But most of the time, the problem is coming from a past issue, a trauma, something that was forced, or a basic misunderstanding in communication. And when I say a basic misunderstanding in communication, because sometimes it's very simple. It's just that our perspectives on life are different. It's best to understand what really happened, because we don't always think about what really happened. Sometimes the argument gets so heated now, like all these things that are coming out from 1976. We in 2026. 1976, you stepped on my toe and you never apologized, and I've been mad this whole time. Or when I was a little girl, mom treated you better than she treated me. How was that my fault? But I've been resenting you this whole time for that. So how do we come back from the old pain? How do we come back from feeling disrespected? How do we come back from feeling unheard? And then the biggest one is how do we come back from childhood wounds? And most of the arguments say like we don't. Because those things are individually taken care of when you really think about it. But in the midst of an argument, somebody has to be, when they say the bigger person, I'm not going to say the bigger person, I'm going to say somebody's going to have to be the healed person. And not all the time there are two healed people. Some people is why people don't talk for years, is because both people are unhealed. Whether it's from that situation or another situation, and now it's like, I'm not dealing with nobody in the family. But there is a way to come back. Sorry, I get focused because I started thinking and want to say other stuff, and I need to learn how to stay focused on what I'm talking about. One of the most important things is learning how to pause in an argument. The other night, my baby son and I, we had an argument. And it wasn't really an argument, it was like a disagreement. We disagreed on something, and we disagreed heavily on it. So I had to take the pause and say, you know what? He got this for tonight. But tomorrow, I'm going to get him. No, I'm just kidding. I had to take the pause, though, and say, okay, I understand where he's coming from. I don't agree. But he doesn't agree with me either. So we had to come up with an ultimatum of what's going to happen. He probably didn't like the ultimatum, and I didn't like his ultimatum, but we had to agree to disagree. Did we come back from the argument the next day? No, because he carries on arguments forever. I wasn't upset the next day, but he was. He was still bothered by the conversation. So he was like, well, you didn't talk to me. Because I was like, well, how are you going to be mad at me? He was like, well, you didn't talk to me. I didn't see you. And he was like, Mom, you didn't see me sitting there? No, I didn't see him. But in his mind, he felt like I was still upset. So she ain't talking to me, I ain't talking to her. And that's what we do. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to break the ice. And I'm going to say, how long you going to be mad at me? Now I'm going to play. Because let's talk about it. Let's get to, I'm not upset. I love you. And it is what it is. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So how do you, when that happens to you, how do you feel? Do you feel unheard? Do you feel unseen if they decide, like, I'm going to be mad at you for the rest of my life? How do you cope with it? Anybody want to answer?
Wait,
How do you cope with if someone says they're going to be mad at you for the rest of their life?
Yeah, you can't control that. Like, you can't control how they feel about you.
Absolutely. You can't control that. You only can control you.
I mean, you can continue to show them love and continue to be a good person, because finding negative is never going to be, it's not going to help. So just continue to show them love from a distance and let them be who they are.
You gotta understand what you do know, right? And a decision like that is made from a very emotional spot. I never want to talk to you again. I understand. I hear you right now. Most of us know that time heals all wounds. And eventually, this person probably will start talking to you. But I'm gonna give you that space until you decide that this is something that you're comfortable with. Like, I won't. No need to go out of my way to make you do this thing. I want it. You'll come back around when those heightened feelings are there.
And that's very important to understand, is that you cannot make that person. And sometimes you just have to let, like you said, time heal wounds. And sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. But when that person comes back around, you can't say like, oh, well, you ready to talk about it now? Let's settle this. Because now they feel like you're being aggressive. And what if you are the one who hurt them? You don't get to hurt someone and then pick when they heal from it.
That's good.
That's not how it goes. If you hurt somebody, you have to give them time. You have to give them opportunity and space. And if they hurt you, you deserve the same thing. Opportunity and space. When you take that pause and you start thinking like, okay, what are we doing here? And I know some people like, it's hard to take a pause in the midst of an argument because people get louder, you know, and I'm one of those people, like, I like peace. So I'm going to instantly try to like talk to you, hey, you know, and I'm still calling you like sweet words too, like queen, king, listen, I understand, you know, I'm still doing that. Now you're getting louder and you're getting more aggressive, and I'm still like trying to talk to you. At that point, I just walked away. And that's going to upset people. But you have to take that pause and separate it. You have to understand that sometimes you're going to get those things with family. You're going to get into those arguments. I'm not saying that it's healthy, because sometimes it's not. When I grew up, my mother did not allow my sister, and I only grew up in a house with one sister, even though I have two. But my middle sister, we grew up in a house together. And she didn't allow us to argue or fight or anything. Like, if we did that, we would get a whooping. Guaranteed. So as we got older, because she taught us that, now when we disagree, we just say, hey, I will talk to you later. It's not a yell, scream, cuss you out, I'm never talking to you again. It's just like, I'll just talk to you later. When I had my boys, people would tell me to let them argue, let them fight. They're boys, they're gonna do that. Absolutely not. Now, men communicate a lot different from how women communicate. So men are, it just seems aggressive, but it's not aggressive. It's just how men communicate. So in instances when they're doing that, like I kind of assess, okay, is this a communication thing they got going on? And then I just walk away. You know what I'm saying? I figure they're gonna work that out. That has nothing to do with me. But somebody eventually walks away. Now, is it the oldest most of the time? He's the one who walks away most of the time. But he's older. And he understands a little bit more. And my sister, I'm usually the one that will walk away. I'm usually the one like, hey, this conversation's getting a little heated. I'm gonna step away. You have to regulate yourself. You can't regulate, you can't regulate the other person. You can only regulate who you are. Why am I upset? What did I feel in that moment? And sometimes when you start asking yourself those questions in the midst of the argument, you just stop arguing because you're like, was it that serious? We argued over potato salad. You know, like literally, we argued over. I know people that don't talk to people for years because of something that was made at a cookout.
That's right.
Like it's crazy, you know.
That's laughing. You ain't nobody else to do it.
It's like what? And then you have to ask yourself, do I want peace? Or do I want control? Because sometimes we want to control the situation. You can't control anybody but yourself. You can't control them. You can't control who brought the potato salad. You were showing up there too. And then how do we come back from that? Now this is the part where when you come back from an argument, you don't just jump in. You acknowledge the situation with them. And acknowledging this, I didn't like how we left things. I didn't like it. I didn't like how we got into that big old thing and now we're not talking. Are they gonna always want to hear that? No. Because remember I said people only understand at the level of their perception. They could think like you viciously did that to them. And you could be like, that wasn't my intention. We have to, number two, is take accountability. You have to take accountability for what you did. You can't take accountability for what they did. You can only take accountability for what you did. And when you start doing that, you start analyzing the situation like, okay, yeah, I could have did this better. But don't go into that mindset, I could have did this better, but they could have did this. It's not about that. It's about, I could have. I could have said this better. Maybe what I said came off as rude, and it wasn't my intention to be rude. In my home, I had two separate children, and they got their parent at two separate ways. Amir got me when I was like wild and hanging out and chilling, and like he in the car, he hanging out too. And then he got me into the, I'm calming down, I'm doing better, you know, I'm more focused, I'm more stable. Ahmad thinks he lives in a world of fluff. There's no fluff. He doesn't remember like being homeless. He doesn't remember not having food. But Amir remembers all of those things. So Amir, I can talk to him in a tough way. You know what I'm saying? I can like, this is what it is. This is what it's going to be. Boom, 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 boom. Because he understands me from a different life. Ahmad, I got to like, baby, listen. Okay. You know, like I got to kind of like, and some people in your families and in your life, you have to assess who they are. I gotta be real, I gotta be who I am, but can I say this to this person like this? Are they gonna understand how I say it? I can't talk gentle to Amir. He doesn't understand that language. He understands me from being a street mom, a hood mom. You understand what I'm saying? He only understands that language. Ahmad doesn't understand that language because by the time Ahmad came at 30, I was a different person. So he understands gentle mom. So you have to know like who you're talking to. You have to understand who you're talking to. And sometimes that takes you like stepping outside of the way, taking that accountability, acknowledging the situation, expressing your feelings without pointing the blame, and then understanding like this is who I'm talking to. My mom is very sensitive. Anything I say can hurt little lady feelings. The lady she's just very sensitive when it comes to me. Anybody else can talk to her any kind of way, but me, absolutely not. So I have to like always, mom, okay, mom, yes, mom, mom, I understand, but mom, let me tell you something. Okay, well, why are you talking to me like that, baby? I didn't even raise my voice. Let me assess myself again, but I have to be honest. So you have to be creative sometimes in the relationships that you have with people when there is conflict. And then you have to let them know, this is who I am. Sometimes I have to let them all know. I might just say whatever because I'm talking to both of them at the same time. And then he's like upset. I'm like, well, what's wrong with you? And I have to tell him, well, I've been this way my whole life. I don't know no other way to be. Sometimes I can't gentle down for you. I love you and I apologize if you felt disrespected, but that wasn't my intention. Because I'm talking to both of you at the same time and I'm just saying what I got to say. And it's okay to go back when you say something and you see the expression, like read the room, you see the expression on their face, or you can feel when the energy shifts. It's okay to say, look, I apologize the way I said that to you. I'm sorry if you feel disrespected. If they accept it, they do, but if they don't, it's nothing you can do about it. Because it came from a good place. Any questions? I know I'm just talking. Y'all good? Okay. And then invite peace. Invite the peace. Can we talk calmly? And sometimes you go in initially and you're talking calmly, but then it gets back to that. But you can feel your temperature rise. I can feel when I'm ready to talk to somebody calmly, but then they still attacking me. They still attacking me. I just tell them now, like, I'm not going to have this conversation with you because you're not ready for this conversation. And it is what it is. Because we didn't come here to attack each other. We came here to talk calmly. And some things not to do. Don't ignore it. Head on. Chin up. Chest out. Let's get it done. If they're not ready to talk, hey, listen, when you're ready to talk, I'm here. Sometimes just that one little thing calms people down. When you are ready to talk, I'm here. Don't bring up old situations. We're talking about what happened today. Not last week, not 2 weeks ago. What happened today? Why are we at odds today? Right now, in this moment, why are we at odds? Don't talk to everybody else except,
How do you refrain from bringing up the thing that happened in the past if the thing that happened today is similar?
That is so hard not to do. It is very hard not to do. In this aspect, you have to control yourself. Because why didn't we fix that thing then? Like, why are we waiting now to say something? And this is why I say it's very important that when you have conflict, is to say it then. It doesn't always have to come out as conflict. You can always say, like, I don't like it when you, and then set a boundary. I instantly tell people, like, if you don't like something that someone does, set that boundary the first time. And the reason why I'm saying set that boundary the first time, because then you know what the expectation, they know what the expectation is the next time. Yeah, they're not really good. The boys laughing.
Water.
Carry down the street.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What happens when you have people like we all got a little.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know I ain't tripping.
but it's better to talk about things right then. I always tell people, don't wait. Because what happens is, we never fix it, it builds up. And now this is happening again. Guess what? Because you should have set a boundary right then. My biggest thing is set the boundary. When somebody does something to you, set a boundary. Set a standard if you don't want to set a boundary. Set the standard of this, we can't do this again. We have to get into these phases where I tell people all the time, you're being too nice. You are being too nice. Because that upset you, that bothered you, that made you frazzled. You thought about that when you laid in your bed. If I think about something after it happened in my bed, oh, I'm setting the boundary. That's it. So set the boundary immediately. So we don't have to come back with these situations. If I set the boundary now, we ain't dealing with that no more. And it sounds stern and it sounds strict, but you have to know who you're dealing with. That goes for everybody. You have to know who you're dealing with. And you have to know that when you're in a healed space, other people are not in a healed space. Most of us in this room are probably in a space healed or we're heading towards our healing. And other people are not concerned about that.
We can always tell if, someone is having a conversation with you, they yell and say whatever they want to say, and we're not talking about it no more. I couldn't even give, okay.
And in that space, you, guess what? We're not. So now when you're feeling like you calm down and you ready to be my friend again, absolutely not. You ready for me to have my turn to talk about what we're not talking about anymore? Oh, you still on that? Yes, I am, because I did not get the opportunity to speak. I didn't get the opportunity to defend myself. And if they don't want to talk about it, I always tell people, compartmentalize the people in your life. You have to. You have to know who respects you and who doesn't respect you. Who you respect and who you don't respect. It goes vice versa. So we can gain understanding. And then don't pretend everything is okay. We do this all the time. I don't have time to deal with that. Man, it's okay. I ain't gonna even worry about it because that's how they is. Absolutely not. It's not okay. Avoiding the conversation doesn't keep the peace, it builds the resentment. So we don't want to rebuild resentment. Because now you're festering and you're taking on all their emotions and all their feelings that you cannot control. You are the only one. Last piece is listen to understand. Listen to understand. Most people don't listen to understand. They listen to react or comment, or they're not listening to understand. They mad, you mad, and now they just want to say what they gotta say. So they like and you started talking. They ain't heard nothing you said because now they ready to attack. So as soon as you get done, they like, and guess what? We ain't got nowhere. We still beefing. We are still beefing. Because nobody is listening to understand. Everybody is listening to say whatever they got to say. They just standing there waiting on that. I'm gonna get her, don't you worry about it. Yep, she's saying, what you said? No, listen to understand. Not listen to respond. Sometimes you have to say, let me hear you first. Let me hear what you have to say first. And guess what? I always tell people, like, if you're listening to someone and you're listening to understand and you forget what you're going to say because they're talking, maybe you don't need to say it. Maybe you about to say something smart Not smart like intelligent smart, like you about to be smart about it. Maybe it's something that's gonna heat it up more. Cause sometimes when you listen to understand, you be like, dang, they kinda right though. Now's your turn. Watch out if you're attacking. If you're having a conversation with people, I always tell people, state the facts. What were the facts? The facts are, you hurt me, I'm upset, I felt like you did this to me. Those are the facts. Now, what are the facts on your side? The facts are, I apologize, I didn't do that viciously. I know some people will say in a perfect world, but this is doable if we think before we act. Finding the underneath anger, because a lot of times we've had a bad day already. Or we're already dealing with some kind of childhood, something that was never fixed between siblings, cousins, or whatever. In my family, all of the oldest children, all of the oldest daughters don't get along with the mother. My great-grandmother didn't get along with her mother. My grandmother didn't get along with my great-grandmother. My mother didn't get along with her mother. And guess what? When I was growing up, me and my mom bumped heads like crazy. Until I got older and I started seeing a pattern. And I was like, wait a minute, what are we beefing about? Because I love my mom. And so I had to start to formulate a relationship. Was my mom receptive to that? No. And it was so strange because I was like, dang, when I grew up, I felt like my mom hated me. I was upset because my mother left me with my grandparents and she took my sister. I was mad, not realizing that I am the oldest everything in my family. Oldest grandchild, oldest great-grandchild, oldest niece, I'm the first everything in my family. Guess what? My grandparents didn't let her take me. They said, you can take Pebbles, but Denisha stays. My mom was 18 years old. She was a young mom. By the time she had my sister, 21, she was a young mom. Guess what? Okay, well, I'm just gonna leave it with y'all. But I was angry as I got older because why didn't she love me enough to take her with her? And I had to realize, talking to my mom, that, wait a minute, girl, no, they wouldn't let me take you. Nobody. She was like, they jumped on me. I had to leave you. And so you have to understand, like, there is underneath the reasons sometimes why things happen. And we have to talk about it. Siblings being at odds because they felt like mama gave you more love, mama gave you more love. That didn't have nothing to do with us. That had everything to do with our mom. So now why are we arguing? Because we can have a solid relationship in reality. But you're still jealous of something, a jealousy that somebody else created. When I finally did go with my mom, I respect my stepdad so much because my stepdad would do stuff like, my sister and I shared a room. We had 2 sets of bunk beds in our room. Why do we got that? You know what I'm saying? On her birthday, she get a big gift. I get a little gift too. And that's the kind of thing my stepdad did to not create jealousy. So when I had my sons, I do the same thing. I get one or something too. Nobody's just getting nothing by themselves. Everybody's getting something. Because we're not going to create jealousy. And so you have to look back at those things and ask yourself, what is the underneath reason of the conflict? And sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes it's, I had a bad day. And guess what? Here you come. And you had a bad day too. Now we beefing. It didn't have nothing to do with each other. Actually, when I first saw you, I wanted to say that shirt was cute. But then you looked at me like, now I'm looking at you like, you know? So that's how it happens.
I hear that a lot, especially on like social media. I hear that a lot with people, like somebody's just chilling, doing whatever they're doing, and then somebody will get upset and like do whatever. And like, well, the other person gets mad. So now you have two people who are upset. I'm like, well, why are you mad? Well, I'm mad because she did this. Well, why are you mad? I'm mad because she mad. It's like, you don't really have the, we don't know what it means. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
But if you just hear what you, like, explain it to me. Like, oh, because she mad. She mad, she came over here mad, so now I'm mad. So now we both mad. Like, so what is the goal of this? Like, and that's what I always go to. What's the goal of this whole interaction? Like, what do you want? What's the goal? What do you need? What do you want? And is that going to get, do you want them to not be mad? Because if that's the case, then you yell at them is not going, even if it's not your fault, you yell at them, isn't going to do anything. I'm just mad because she mad. Let me know how that works for you.
And we honestly, we are taught this at young people. A lot of the behaviors, anger, jealousy, we're taught this at young ages. We see it at young ages. Healthy relationships are not perfect. They are not argument free, but they can be repaired. It's just up to you. It's up to you and what you want to do. And just 3 things not to do in an argument. Yelling is not going to work. The silent treatment does not work.
I was gonna say something about that. So go ahead. I'll let you finish. I'm gonna let you
The
finish.
silent treatment does not work. Avoidance does not work. What works is dealing with it head on, being honest, allowing that person to say whether they're ready to talk about it or not, and just trying to decrease some of the silent things. Because I can walk into the house and I can have a crazy look on my face. Amir, he gonna walk by me like, girl, I don't got time for that today. Amar, like, I'm mad cause mom mad. And I'm like, I'm not mad. He's like, well, when you came in here, you didn't even smile. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Pinky. I had a lot of stuff on my mind. And I wasn't even focused on anything except for the stuff that was on my mind. Like you go into a store and you walking right past somebody, and now they telling everybody, I don't like you no more because I seen her in the store and she didn't even speak to me. Baby, I didn't see you. I know you seen me, I was right there. I didn't. I had a lot of stuff going on. I had a bad day. I'm thinking about my bills. I'm getting ready to be evicted. I got this going on. I got that going on. Coming back from an argument is doable. Very doable. Just learn to respect the person and they respect you. And we don't have to scream. We can talk. And if they're not ready to talk, respect that. But I think at this point in our life, we got to do better than not talking for years based off something that we probably don't even know what we argued about anymore because it's been so long. But just having that ability to talk and to speak. I like what Ed said is that people don't know how to talk. People don't know how to communicate. So I think it starts with the people in this room that we are learning to communicate better. We can't change the world, but at least we can change the small little circles that we're in.
I think people do know how to communicate. You know, they communicate when they're mad. So why you can't communicate when you have other feelings?
They express when they met. Just because you use words and start saying stuff doesn't mean that you are communicating effectively.
Yes.
A lot of people, not to be sexist, but a lot of women feel like, oh, I do not communicate because they talk more, they use more words immediately.
Yep.
Just because the stuff comes out of your mouth don't mean you know how to communicate.
I'll say the same start off with silent treatment. Silent treatment. I've dealt with that before. Specifically, not necessarily in like my friendships, but like in like relationship, like on the relationship level, like as far as maybe talking to somebody, I offended that woman or whatever. She'll call herself doing silent treatment, silent. I may, depending on how much I like her at the time. This is years back. Depends on like how our relationship is. I said I have maybe one, maybe two conversations about it. I said, because at the end of the day, if I say something that offends you, how about we talk about it like two adults? It's like you shutting down and not communicating, expecting me to read your mind. It's not gonna work. You know, just piggyback off the edge said, like, just because you do certain things like that, that don't mean that you're communicating better. You gotta let me know how to talk to you, how to treat you. Is there things that might offend you, my words? It'll never happen again. But shutting down, not talking, I don't respond very well to that, because at the end of the day, I have a big open communication policy. I like to listen more than I talk, so I like to communicate to a higher level to where I expect the same thing out of you. But if you do something like that, I say, you know what? I just let them go. And piggyback off of what Ed just said about, you know, the communication amongst men and women. That is so true, because you're talking, and you're not communicating in a way to where both parties are getting a complete understanding. Because men, we look at it as we're trying to problem solve. If there's an issue, we're trying to solve the issue. How do we get to the bottom of whatever you're feeling, how you're feeling, what made you feel this way? And you just communicating a bunch of emotions, and you're not telling me really what the problem is. You wait until something bad happens and then communicate, and that's not how it works. You're only going to communicate when you're angry instead of communicating when things are peaceful. So it's communication all across the board. So it's not just waiting until something happens to really tell somebody how something made you feel. Because a lot of times in the black community, what we like to wait till somebody bring like an issue to us, then we'll address a whole bunch of slew of problems that we got with them. And all it does is it's a building block of tension. So now it's creating chaos and confusion. So you want to make sure you build those type of relationships where you have open communication, and y'all share similar values, and y'all in alignment with your values. That's the most important thing. But if people aren't in your values, you just have to even if it's family, you might just have to go your separate ways. And we said something earlier about communication with your family as far as, you know, addressing offenses too. And sometimes people, they take things personal when they shouldn't take things personal. And I think setting boundaries is one of the most healthiest things that you can ever do. And then as far as family, saying certain things, and they saying like certain things that they know that is beyond your control. So if you got like some type of speech impediment and they still constantly do that, I mean, sometimes the best thing is not silent treatment. It's about addressing it and just letting them people go. Because sometimes it protects your mental health and your mental peace when you need to cut off like toxic people, especially whether their family, whether they mother, father, brother, sister, especially in the black community, as far as our mothers too. Like our mama tend to get away with stuff that she shouldn't get away, because she say things that hurt boys to where they can't come back from it, and then they shut down in their personal relationships, like with intimacy and their friendships too. So it's one of those things that everybody needs to be held accountable for their words and their actions, especially in our community. That's how I look at it.
I think it's good to the silent treatment part. Only thing I'm gonna say is when it comes to women shutting down with silent treatment, just make sure that you're giving off the energy that they can talk to you. Because sometimes if a woman didn't grow up in the house with a man, this is why I said this is very important because if a woman doesn't grow up in a household with a man, she doesn't understand that stoneness that a man gives sometimes. And that comes off as like, I can't talk to you. So that's why sometimes some women do shut down because they didn't grow up in a household with a man. They have no clue what it's like for your dad to walk around and not really say nothing some days. They don't know what that's like. They don't know what it's like for your dad to sit there emotionless while you crying, you telling him, he telling you like, I told you to do something. Now when he go in the room, he finna cry. You know what I'm saying? Cause his baby crying, but at the same time he realizes that he has to be the dad and he has to be the rational person. And your mama emotional, she probably screaming or she crying in front of you while you crying, but dad just not gonna do that. So some women don't understand that. So you have to be careful, like what woman are you dealing with in that instance when it comes to that relationship and that silent treatment and that breaking down. And then the other side, you said something else and I lost the whole point of what I was going to say. Your second part was about, what was your second part about?
About the communication amongst family.
Before that part. You forgot to?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't meant for us to catch it. But either way, like when it, I know what it's gonna be. Like when it pertains to men and women relationship and communication, it's gonna be a little different from family. And the only reason why is because that love is a little different and those emotions are a lot different. So it's gonna have to be a different conversation.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother, I think like when you're talking about family and cousins and stuff like that, when you start talking about relationship between man and woman, that's, like having attraction, physical attraction, having a different kind of love, it's a whole nother piece of communication because it just depends a lot on who raised that woman. Who, like what has that woman done? What kind of man are you? It has a lot. It's a whole bunch of components. But we should do that topic one day, because I think it would be good for people to get a breakdown of the male and female relationship. Any other questions, concerns?
Keep your hearts and minds open when it's communication, especially if it's a relationship that's salvageable. Keep that gateway of communication. Sometimes you need a couple of days to cool down, but if people like they just shut down and try to paint a narrative about it, sometimes that's to let the relationship go. Like I said before, like Ed said, that don't mean that you communicating better, because sometimes when you communicate in anger, sometimes you might say something that you may not be able to come back from too, and it can just make things worse.
That's what I was going to say. Saying stuff that you're not able to come back from, and that is the biggest issue. That's why it's important to stay with the facts. In court, when I had to go through custody battle with my ex-husband, that's what got my mind set into staying with the facts. The first time I went to court, I was emotional. This man had just did this thing to me. He trying to take my kids. I was like all over the place. And I was in the courtroom and I was crying, blah, blah, blah. And the judge was so stern for me. He said, 1, I need you to stop crying. He said, 2, do you want your children? I said, I do. He said, so we are going to reschedule court. You are going to come back and you're only going to state facts. Next time we went to court, I thought about what he said. Next time we went to court, I went in there, I stated the facts. He said, we're not going to even talk about custody today. After I stated all the facts, he said, let's get this woman some child support. She doesn't have child support for these children. I knew at that point I won the case because he was getting me child support. I went in and I stated only the facts. This is what happened. I wanted to say some more because they had my engines going, but I had to consume myself. And sometimes in an argument, you have to. This is what happened. And now when you get in the car and you get home, you start punching that pillow and stuff, and air punching them. You say whatever you want to say, but in that moment, you state the facts.
Yeah.
I love y'all.
Yeah. Thank you. So I just want to say thank you first workshop of the year. So in your folders, we have our next workshop. It's May 16th, and that is the mother and daughter relationship. So if you would like to come back, come on back, because we at the same place. And we have our father and son on June 6th. We have the mother and son August 1st, and a father and daughter September 26th. Everything this year is going to be here at the children's board. We also have this right here. It's in regards to conflict. So when you're in conflict and you're having conflict with family members, with anyone in your village, it's okay to take this paper out, make you some copies. We can even email you some so you can go over it and see how you do. See where you messed up, see how you do it, and see where you can improve. And this right here is a handout. Please look at it. It has so many great things in here. It has boundaries, how to build them, connecting through communication with I feel statements. We have family affirmations, and we also have a reconciliation challenge, okay? So thank you for coming. We will see you next time. Okay? And that's it. Everybody have an awesome day.
Are these pens to take?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So please see the table over there. There's affirmation pens, there are journals, there are red cards for you to take as well.
Surprise.
I don't know where they are. I
Healing is
have to
free,
exit.
so let's let it go by.
Actually, it ain't free. You got jobs. What you mean it ain't free?
It's free today.
Okay, free today. I think it ain't free. It ain't free.
Healing is free today.
I get 8 in the journal.
Okay. Healing is free
I had an
today.
exit survey, but I don't know
Wait.
where it is.
Healing is free today. Oh.
We'll do it next time.
Thank you.